Hey guys, welcome back to Art with Miss Wilkin. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a pet portrait in the style of folk artist Heather Galler. As we know, folk artists are artists that did not go to school for art or weren't formally trained for art. However, they make beautiful things on their own that express a lot about themselves or their culture or their family or their history. And a lot of folk art ends up being really bright and colorful with really bold lines and sort of these fun, simple designs that we add in. So I have also made a PowerPoint to show you the process of our project, as well as some examples of Heather Galler's work so that we can use her as our inspiration. But today I'm going to show you guys how to do the first part of this project, where we're planning what we want to add and how we want to make our dogs a little bit more colorful. So you're going to need a portrait picture of the pet that you would like to draw. So this is mine for today. A piece of paper, a pen of some kind. It does need to be a pen with like a solid tip, not like a gel pen or a felt tip pen, because we want to use this for pressure, but it can be any color pen you need or you have. And then a regular pencil, not a mechanical pencil, because we're going to use the lead from this pencil to do a graphite transfer. So get all your supplies and let's get started. Alright, so like I said, all you're going to need is a picture of your animal, piece of paper, a pen, and a pencil. And the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to prepare for a graphite transfer, which means we're going to use the lead or graphite from this pencil to make an image on our blank paper here from our photograph. So we flip over our picture, and on the back, using our pencil kind of sideways, we're going to shade the back side of our paper. And we only really need to shade behind where our dog is. So if you have a smaller dog in a larger picture, and I'm going to go ahead and shade as much as I can. And I'm using the side of my pencil, turning it on its side, so I get a nice wide amount of coverage instead of using my pencil on its tip like this, where I get a very thin line. I'm going to use it on its side so I get a thicker line so it takes less time. I'm going to do the whole paper. Alright, so once I'm done, I am going to flip it a little bit to make sure that I covered all the areas behind my dog. So I want to just make sure that I think I've got everything covered. You can also hold this up to the light, and you'll be able to see through the paper a little bit and see where you have colored and where you might still need to. So I think I've got all of my dog covered. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my dog on top of my blank piece of paper, and I'm actually going to use a little piece of tape. If you don't have tape, that is a-okay. You don't need to tape it down, but sometimes it can be helpful so that things don't move around. So I'm actually going to tape my plain paper to the table. And I'm going to tape my dog paper to my plain paper. And that way, as I'm going through, it won't move around too much. Alright, so now that I've got my graphite on the back of my paper, what I want to do is I want to take my pen and I'm just going to trace over the lines for my dog. I'm going to go through the outline, and then I'm also going to trace his nose, his lip, his eyes, and any other little details that I might want to keep. What I don't have to do is trace every little bit of fur on him or all of these little smaller spots. You don't have to trace over those if you don't want to. You just want to get the general outline of the dog and the dog's face. So I'm going to go ahead and trace over. As I'm going, I want to make sure that I'm pushing with my pen. I want to make sure that I'm pushing down. I don't want to go through my paper, so I don't want to push down too hard, but I want to push down hard enough that when I lift it, it's going to leave a line where my graphite was on the back. Alright, so once you think you've gone over all the lines that you need, you can lift up your dog, and you should see it's really light, so it's kind of hard to see it, but I have a really light outline of my dog. Like this. Right, so now I can go in and add all of my Heather Galler details, right? So I'm going to divide my dog into sections and add things like polka dots and stripes, and you can go onto our slideshow and look at examples of her artwork to give you some ideas of things that you can add. I'm going to make sure that I didn't miss any lines. I think I am going to go in right here and draw this inside part of my ear, and it's helpful that I've taped this down because I can just lift it and put it back down and everything stays in the same spot. Draw a little bit of detail in the ear so that I can divide that up. Alright, so I'm not going to take my dog off yet. I'm just going to flip it up here so it's out of my way, and I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw over top of my lines a little bit darker so I know where my outline is. Alright, so now I've gone over my outline again, and all I want to do now is I'm going to divide my dog up into different sections and start adding some details like polka dots, stripes, and scallops. Alright, so now I've gone in and added some designs. I may decide later that I want to add more or change things around, but for now, I've got my designs. The next thing I'm going to do is go in and color it all in. And then, once I'm done coloring, I'm going to go back and re-outline around my dog with my pen. Alright, so we have drawn, designed, and colored in our dog, as well as gone back over the outline so we can see it a little bit better. So this is my final product for my draft of my dog, which is really the plan for my final piece, which we're going to then transfer onto a canvas board. If you're doing this project at home and you don't have a canvas board and paint, this is a perfectly fine end result for our project. I could definitely put this in a frame or hang it up on the wall. It is a beautiful dog portrait. Or if I want to take it a step further, our next steps are going to be to do the same thing we did with our photograph of our dog, to do a graphite transfer. So I'm going to end up coloring on the back of my paper here the same way that I did with my photograph, and then I'm going to lay it on top of my canvas board, trace around, and then do the same process that I did when I was filling in my dog with my crayon, except with paint this time. So if you don't have this at home, this is a perfectly great stopping point. I would love to see what animal portraits you can come up with on your own. And if you have any that you have made or that you want to share with me, you can bring them into school to show me, or you can email me a picture, and I cannot wait to see what you guys create. Have a great day.